Chapter 23. The Reaper Whose Name is Death. Matthew. Matthew. What's the matter? Matthew, are you sick? Anne heard Marilla speaking those sharp, alarm-filled words. She ran into the room and looked past Marilla to see Matthew standing in the doorway, clutching a piece of paper in his hand. His face was a terrible ashen gray. She sprang across the kitchen to his side at the same time Marilla did. They were too late. By the time they reached Matthew, he had collapsed in the doorway. "He's fainted," gasped Marilla. "Anne, run and get Martin. He's in the barn." Martin, the hired man, went for the doctor right away, stopping at Orchard Slope first for help. Mrs. Lynde was the first to arrive. She checked Matthew's pulse, putting her head on his chest to listen. When she looked up at Marilla, her eyes were filled with tears. "Oh, Marilla," she said sadly, "I don't think we can do anything for him." When the doctor arrived, he said that Matthew had died instantly of a heart attack, probably caused by a sudden shock. When they looked at the piece of paper he had been holding, they knew the doctor was right. The paper was an announcement that the Abbey Bank had failed. Matthew and Marilla's savings had been wiped out. They were broke. The shock had been too much for Matthew's weak heart. The news spread quickly through the little town. All day, people came to Green Gables with small gifts, food, and kind words. Diana offered to stay the night. "Thank you," said Anne, "but I have to be alone. I haven't even cried yet. Half of the time I can't believe Matthew is dead. The other half, it seems as if he's been dead a long time, and I've had this terrible, dull ache ever since." Anne hoped that she would cry as soon as she was alone, but she didn't. When she woke late in the night, the facts of the day swept over her in a wave of sorrow. She could see Matthew standing near the barn and saying with a smile, my girl who I'm proud of." Then the tears came in a flood. Marilla came up the stairs to comfort her. There, dearie," she said softly. "It can't bring him back. But I know just how you feel. He had always been such a good and kind brother to me." "Oh, Marilla," said Anne, "what will we do without him?" "We've got each other, Anne," Marilla said. "I don't know what I'd do if you'd never come." "Anne, I know that I've been strict with you sometimes, but you mustn't think I don't love you as much as Matthew did. It's not easy for me to speak from my heart, but I want to tell you. I love you as if you were my flesh and blood, and you've been my greatest joy since you've come to Green Gables." 2 days later, they buried Matthew near the fields he had planted, and the orchard he had loved so dearly. In the days that passed, Anne began to visit with Diana again, and sometimes even smile and laugh. But Anne was often sad and lonely for Matthew. She became sadder still when she thought of how lonely Marilla would be when she went off to college. "What a nice-looking young fellow Gilbert Blythe is," said Marilla one day. "I saw him in church on Sunday. He seems so tall and manly. He looks a lot like his father did at his age. John Blythe was a nice boy. We were really good friends. People used to call him my beau." Anne looked up with interest. "I never knew that," she exclaimed. "What happened between you?" "We had a quarrel, and I wouldn't forgive him for it. I meant to after a while, but I was too sulky and angry, and I wanted to punish him at first. He never came back. I always felt, well, rather sorry. I've always kind of wished I had forgiven him when I had the chance." "So you've had a bit of romance in your life, too," said Anne softly. "Yes, I suppose you might call it that," said Marilla with a little smile. "You wouldn't think so to look at me, would you? Everybody has forgotten about me and John Blythe. I'd even forgotten myself. But it all came back to me when I saw Gilbert last Sunday.